Welcome to Keeping Up with Trends. This is Fed Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. We're joined with your host, Sergio Davids. Give it to
Hey,
us, Sergio.
Fred. Awesome. It's the start of a new year, new possibilities, new opportunities, especially in online trading. So, I thought we'd kick off the year by asking a very fundamental question because we always tackle the how when it comes to online trading, but I think the why is also important. So, I thought we could discuss why would anyone want to become an online trader in 2024?
So, I listened to this. It's one of these motivational mixes in the morning
Yeah,
that you get on YouTube. You could get many of them,
yeah,
and there's this one really good one. And he says that you got to have a good why, because if you have a good why, you could overcome anything.
yeah. I,
And I
I
really
agree.
And I think that that's because most people come into trading and they say, "Oh, I want to make money. I want to be rich."
Yeah,
And that's not the right reason. I mean, that's the outcome. That's not necessarily the
yeah, the reason.
to go and to enter trading. Trading is it's an Olympic sport. Okay, I didn't say it. Ray Dalio said it. Who's Bridgewater's CEO, a major um, a major investor for this generation, and a philosopher and a tremendous human being. I gravitate to some of his work more so than maybe Warren Buffett. I just feel that Ray Dalio is
Yeah.
quite personable, and he's your average man that is just works very hard and
Mm-hmm.
passionate about what he does. Anyway, so the why is really important, and it has to align with some of your beliefs and your virtues and some of your integral principles that you live by. Um, and I believe that that's it. It's more of there are some people I've met in my life that are real estate people. There are some
Right.
people in my life that I met are salespeople, and they just enjoy it. They just revel at it. And I remember that at one point I was, between jobs, and they asked me about my previous job, and it was, trading. And so the person interviewing me um, asked me, well, tell me about your previous job. And I went in there, and it was like as if I was turned on. She's like, I talked about it. I was animated. I was passionate about it. I was talking, and it was that.
Yeah.
And here I'm trying to get into becoming an executive in this cosmetic company, and she's looking at me, and she's like, you didn't even realize yourself. And I was younger. I was in my early 30s.
Yeah.
And she's like, you didn't even realize it. She said, you're so passionate about it. Why would you want to leave it? And that kind of like struck me because I guess because I had gone through the success and the failure afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of like hit me in the face and said, like, yeah, why am I not doing this again? So I failed. So I didn't succeed on my first try. Okay, so I'll try again. Um, and it was a
I,
message that, yeah, my mentor one time told me because he said to me, like he referred back to some people before this incident had happened. He referred back to some people who had tried, to set up a business. It didn't go. They tried again. It didn't go. They tried again. It didn't go. And they just kept on trying.
you know, I think I think what you said right at the beginning there was important. The how versus the why. The how is easy. You and I can come up with even a business idea in the next 2 minutes, and we could work out the details and hash it out. The how, that's easy. But why we should even be doing the business, I think that is a fundamental core thing we would need to work out amongst ourselves. But when you spoke about how you were so animated, right? I mean, look, I love content, for example, right? Creating stories, being creative, and I'm never more animated, enthusiastic than when I'm discussing content. And if you're doing something you love, what's that saying? You'll never work, a
A
day in your
day in
life.
your life.
And I think the same also applies to trading. Like you were saying, why should you get into this? And unfortunately, a lot of people think that trading is a get rich quick scheme. I'm going to put in X amount of money and then suddenly I'm going to be rich. And it just doesn't work like that. Unless you are extremely extremely lucky. It's a discipline. It's something you got to work at. You said, it's Olympic sport. It's a marathon. It's not a quick sprint. But
And absolutely is.
but for anyone out there, what are some of the benefits though, of online trading?
Um,
Apart from, obviously it is
what
a
do you
way to
mean?
make
What are the
money.
benefits? What does that
Well,
mean?
look, as we've been chatting, for the past year or so, it's not just the superficial, it is a way to generate money. There are other benefits. Like, I've realized that online trading, especially for the good traders out there, it teaches you discipline. It teaches you to be, emotionally responsible. Would you agree?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's another, you know, it's another. There are people that read person's character and personalities by
Yeah.
doing a writing test. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's really popular with some of the people that I know, and um, it's just another venue where you can express yourself in an unlimited fashion. That's all it
I
is.
like that.
It's
I like
it's
it.
it's a place like some people need to express themselves fashionably,
Right.
right? I started out in the fashion business, and I would meet with these designers. There were designers for Ralph Lauren, for Calvin Klein, some of the biggest names. Okay, and it started out within a 10 to 15 block radius in Manhattan, which was called the Garment District. It doesn't exist anymore. It exists just for showrooms and just marginally small pieces and bits
Sure.
are left from it. It used to be like that. Used to be where the actually used to manufacture garments in that area, but as things started, shifting to the Far East, there are much less presence of the garment district there. And the reason I'm saying is that, you used to see this expression of all this type of, beautiful, beautiful clothing that these people came up with. And it was just an expression of who they are inside, but they want to express themselves to the outside. It's an expression of who they are. Now, you could express yourself artistically, or you could express yourself, as looking at the trading financial markets as, I don't call it a game, but it's an expression of another world. It's like a virtual world that,
Hmm. Yep.
you don't know what the guy's doing in that world. Like he could be like a Superman in that
Yeah.
world, right? It could be like, and it's an expression in that world that, that doesn't really have any relevance. Like if you ask Warren Buffett, you know, about his value as human being or value as society, it's very different than what he does online. He said it himself. He says, "Who's to say that I am any better than a teacher?" I would argue, he said, that a teacher who's touched more hearts and more
Yeah.
people's lives
Molded
and
more minds.
inspired,
Yeah.
yeah, that is much more, for mankind, that is much more effective and much more productive than me making billions of dollars. Now, I could do good things with those billions of dollars, but at the same time, who's to say that it's, am I bringing value? And
Yeah.
I think that that's really a very important element of it,
I.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
no, because we were so wired to thinking about make money, make money, make money, be rich,
Hmm.
make money.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think it's
ingrained
wrong.
in everything we do.
Right.
Sadly. Personally, the thing I like about online trading is the fact that it's kind of it has this It's a level playing field, as it were. Because if you wanted to own a piece of Apple, you could buy shares, in that company. If you wanted to trade oil like some of the biggest traders in the world, you can do that. You can have you as, Joe Nobody can buy shares in some of the biggest companies in the world and trade them. I mean, obviously, some of them are $1,000+ a share, sure, but it's still a level playing field to the extent that anyone can trade. And I like that, you know?
It's
Um,
because I thought about it many times as well, because it's like you've lost money in it, and then you berate yourself and say, why did I even get into this?
right.
And it's not about that. It's about being in the game, and just realizing that there is another day, that
Yeah.
there is an element that you can overcome those shortcomings in terms of making an impact for yourself. And obviously, and some of the and this is the thing. I was going to say making an impact for yourself and making an impact financially for your family, but this is
Yeah.
the thing. Some of the wealthiest guys that I know that are trading the financial markets are the most nonchalant people I've ever met in my life. Like,
That's amazing considering the lifestyle and, the markets that they're in. But wow.
and here's the other thing. I mean, I remember, this was the biggest trader on the desk. Okay, his name is John Petek,
Okay.
and John would walk into the office with sometimes ripped pairs of jeans, normal sneakers. He kind of looked like Jerry Seinfeld. That's what he looked like. Very unassuming. And the guy
Yeah, I'm
was
picturing it now. Yeah.
he was a little bit heavier than Jerry Seinfeld. It was a bit stockier than Jerry Seinfeld. It wasn't as
So more
skinny.
George.
No, 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 not that far. But they looked alike. Actually, they look alike. And John would come in and just a goofball, just like cranking jokes, and you didn't know if the guy was up, you didn't know if the guy was down for the day. Just didn't know anything about him. But walk past his computer at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and he's up $800,000. And he's walking
Wow.
around playing with a golf club. Just
Jeez.
so that's John. Okay, now John is a very unique individual. Not many people can do what John did. I believe in his greatest day he made, and I'm talking about 20 years ago almost. John made something like $2 million to
Jeez.
$4 million.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a heavy day, but on a consistent day, he would make between, I would say, $50,000 to $150,000 on a consistent
That's
day.
incredible.
That is incredible. But let me tell you about a story about John. John started out the markets just like everybody else. He had a really good programming job at the time. In those days, he was earning like something like $200,000 a year, so he had a really good income, or maybe 170, whatever, like a really good income. And someone told him about online trading, so he looked into it and he goes, this is kind of interesting. So he goes into it, and he's working for one of the biggest day trading firms at the time. And about, I don't know, about 6 months into the job, 8 months into the job, he takes a position where he sold short a stock by the name of Alex Jones, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Now, Alex Jones was a financial company. It looked really weak over on a Friday. It was trading down, and he was short something like 10,000 shares. Now, following Monday, opening up the front page of Wall Street Journal as getting to work, Alex Jones gets bought out by some other bigger financial institution. The stock is up 18 points in the morning. He's down Monday morning. Didn't even turn on the computer. He's down over $180,000.
Jeez.
How's that for coming into work for a Monday morning?
Wow. It's gonna have a really bad day.
So his manager told him, close the position and go home. Didn't fire him. Didn't get angry at
Wow.
him. Come back another day. Now, one of the best lessons that John ever did was that experience, because John came back, not only made back 150,000, but that was probably the first year that he made $1 million.
Jeez.
And that
I
happens.
mean,
Why?
yeah,
Yeah, because he fought it back.
it's it's incredible. But it's a good example of how he never gave up and how he applied the skills that he's learned, and he had the emotional maturity to keep going, even in adversity. So, on that note, right, what advice do you have for traders in 2024? Who might be on the fence, thinking about this as, a way to not just earn an income, but, go for it.
So this is the thing. I mean, I there's no better time to enter the financial markets than right now. There's never been a better time to trade the financial markets than right now, for multiple reasons. Number one, the markets are trading in the U.S. markets trading all-time highs. Number two, Forex symbols started, you know, picking up on some volume over the past year.
Yeah.
They're tapering off now recently, but they so if you're a trader and you want to be trading, you have the opportunity to trade from morning until night. I mean, there's really so much opportunities in the market that I don't know that I was able to see ever before. And I don't know. I'm not a prophet. I don't know that those opportunities will continue into this year,
Yeah.
but they haven't stopped. And I truly believe that if you want to get into something, there's no better time than to get into it at the present moment.
Awesome. And I think on that note, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Fred, for all your awesome advice and insights. And I can't wait to do more of these chats throughout this year.
Looking forward to it.
Cool. I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, Sergio.